My unpopular opinions on the detransitioners in the trans community. I think that I saw the thumbnail. I'm sure it said they were never trans or something, which is a bit nasty. But let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, this person is called Alazaiah. I didn't say that.
Welcome back to another video. My name is alazaiah and I'm your favorite black transsexual. Get up into the big pair or whatever. Y'all, we are back with some content. You already know, boom shakalaka, I'm pushing out this content for y'all. Bada bing, bada boom. Today's video is gonna get very controversial. I know you guys seen the title. Now y'all might be like, girl, what are we gonna get into? I need you guys to like, comment, and subscribe before we get into today's video, girl. And grab your snacks, because things are gonna get messy, things are gonna get real, and I'm gonna wake some shit up. So bada bing, bada boom. So, hi loves, my name is alazaiah. I'm your favorite black transsexual. If you haven't met me already, girl, I'm going to be talking about detransitioners today because, you know, I have nothing else to do. And, you know, I've seen an influx on, you know, detransitioners and, you know, them now being the face of the trans community and they're representing the trans community.
Are they representing the trans community? I'm not sure about that. Oh, hi Kitty Cat. I hope you're good.
It got to stop today. It got to stop today. So yeah, grab your snacks because girl, I'm finna wake it up. So the first point that I'm gonna start off with this video is like, what is a trans woman? In my eyes, a trans woman is a individual who is, you know, who has gender dysphoria and doesn't, you know, resonate with the gender who they are or who they were born as. And I know I'm stuttering already. Just listen, hear me out, okay? You know, on what I'm trying to add on to this is like, you know, if you have, you know, severe gender dysphoria and you're very insecure with what you see in the mirror, I've always said that sometimes you just have to be very delusional with who you are as a trans person. Me as a trans person, you know, I started off as, you know, a very insecure person. I didn't like my facial features. I didn't like being black. I didn't like being a trans.
Oof, that's very sad to hear, actually. Jesus Christ. Listen, maybe this is white privilege in action, but I can't imagine feeling that way. So that kind of sucks, actually. I feel bad for her for saying that, you know? Yeah, you're always getting a lot of comments. You know, people are going to do what they want to do. I don't know.
Woman, I didn't like to be who I am now today. Like, I wasn't as confident. I wasn't as beautiful. I wasn't, you know, alazaiah, let's per se. I wasn't the beautiful alazaiah that y'all know today. You get what I mean? You get what I mean? So what I'm going to say is like, you know, I've had to take time to learn myself and I had to take time to sit over here and study who I am as a trans woman. And that's what we're going to get into in the next point. I've had to sit over here and face my childhood trauma. And I've had to sit over here and personally deal with my insecurities and see why I feel this way, why I don't like this, why I don't like that. And, you know, I've always tried to sit over here and personally figure out what's going on in my head so I can solve what's going on instead of sitting over here trying to sit over here and suppress how I feel and suppress my insecurities and suppress, you know, what I'm dealing with, all the trauma that I'm dealing with. You get what I mean? You get what I mean? But that's what I was saying, girl. I feel like a trans woman. I've always felt like a trans woman. But when you're in this generation and when you're in society and living as your true self in society, like a lot of people will tell you how to, you know, dress, how to present, how to transition, how to do this, how to do that. I say this a lot, like a lot of people don't know who they truly are and they're only doing what they're doing based off of other people's validation, trying to get validated by other people, saying, you know, does this...
It's not just like other people's validation. Like a lot of people don't really know what they want. And they might be convinced that something is what they want because of not just other people, but all kinds of like internal biases and stuff like that. And then realize it's not right for them, which is just one way you get detransitioners, you know?
This dress look good on me? Does this look good on me? Does my hair look right? Should I do this? Should I do that? Just do what makes you feel happy. And that's something as a trans woman that I've had to understand and I've had to sit over here and comprehend. And I just had to, you know, learn to love myself. A lot of people go through dramatic measures to sit over here and try to achieve something that they deem will cure their insecurities. They deem that will cure their childhood trauma and cure all the things that they're, hating about themselves in their head. When I say this a lot of people need to go to therapy. How can you sit over here and be trans and want to transition, but you're not going through therapy? You have to constantly go through therapy, even after you successfully transition, even after all the surgeries and all the things that you get. You still have to sit over here and figure out other things about yourself that you didn't know or that you needed to learn. And a lot of people sit over here and beat themselves up over, sitting over here trying to, how do I per se, things that they don't like about each other, things that they don't like about themselves. Like, girl, like all these FFS, these BBLs, these bottom surgeries and all this other stuff will not cure everything that you hate about yourself. You have to be the one to sit over here and love yourself. And a lot of people sit over here.
Yeah, that's true.
And go through dramatic measures to sit over here and try to, look passable. And I say this a lot as a trans person. I am transgender, so I don't care if I look like a woman or I look like a man. And lately, I started to look more clocky than usual, which is okay, who really cares if I look clocky, because I'm transgender. I can't change who I was born as. I'm alazaiah. I was born a biological male, but I live my life as a trans woman.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst way I've heard it put, I guess I'll be charitable. I needed to get to the point a bit though, because I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to agree with what she's saying, but hey, we need to see.
You get what I mean? I understand that, all the things that I hate about myself. I just have to understand that I'm broke. I'm BROKE. So I can't control if I don't look a certain way or I don't fit the certain beauty standard, because I don't have money. I don't have those type of resources. So I have to just adapt and just keep carrying on. And I feel like a lot of us need to do that. I feel like a lot of us just need to suck it up sometimes. And
she just said she was poor. Aren't you meant to be simping for her?
Just keep pushing through, because if you can push through the little tiniest things, you can push through the big things. And when you can push through the big things, you can always get to the things that you want. And just, you can prevail in life if you can always sit over here and keep going, even when times get hard, literally. Because in my eyes, being trans isn't to sit over here and pass and look a certain way. I say being trans is to sit over here and truly love yourself and to truly be as confident and just live in the moment. You're supposed to live in a moment with life, because you only get one life, and I will always preach this. Do what makes you happy. Don't do what other people are telling you to do. Do what makes you comfortable. And that's the issue with this whole community. A lot of people don't want to do what they want to do. They're doing stuff based off of other people's judgment. Stop caring what other people think about you. And so getting into this, I don't
have money to alter my face, so I just have to carry on and push on. Yeah, it's a bit sad. I don't know. What's really bizarre is you go on GoFundMe and you've got all these trans people wanting money for FFS and stuff surgery to fix their face or whatever. And it's I can't imagine it going down well, women wanting to get nose jobs and shit like that, or lip fillers on GoFundMe. I need to look sometime, but I very much doubt it happens.
I want to add to context that I say this loud and proud. When you're on hormones for a long period of time, a lot of people think that, your body will, naturally go back to its natural form if you get off of the hormones and stuff like that. And this is why we have a lot of detransitioners now. And this is why, we're starting to get into the real topic of this video. A lot of detransitioners regret transitioning medically because, they can't go back to who they were born as. And I'm using very much.
Yeah, it's almost like that's the risk of doing permanent stuff to yourself.
Quotation marks when I'm speaking, because I want a lot of people to understand the climax and the problem with this topic and the problem with this whole, idea of a detransitioner. Let's get into the controversialness. I say this loud and proud that a lot of people need to socially transition before they medically transition, because you don't know who you truly are, and you don't know the side effects of what, could happen to you while you're medically transitioning. And I know there's a lot of people who...
The problem is, socially transitioning is more or less just guaranteeing it's gonna happen, you know what I mean? So that's not necessarily the case. They mentioned this on the cast review.
might be like, yay, just go and transition medically, you know, you can always detransition. Like, you can always just, you know, sit over here and, you know, just say that you're not trans anymore.
You should be careful even saying that you can always just detransition from like social transition, to be honest.
Okay, we still gonna support you. Da, 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 da. Love, let's be realistic, honey. I say this a lot, and I'm going to use a lot of terms that, you know, are very loosely and a lot that can.
Yeah, this person's MTF.
Offend people. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just gonna, you know, throw it out there. But you know, trans men, okay, let's say trans men. Trans men who are born biological females, okay, right? But they're transitioning into men, okay? Listen, testosterone is a very powerful, you know, how do I say, hormonal, okay, or whatever, right? That hormonal shot and that hormonal pill that
you get some people that are quite asymmetric. I think like Brianna Wu might be this way. I'm not entirely sure. Where they kind of hold trans men and trans women to slightly different standards because testosterone is more powerful, you know? You get love bombed by the community, which is a hell of a drug, especially if you're insecure. Yeah, I mean, even just like the social transition and stuff, like it's powerful, you know, it's concentrated like affirmation. So we need to be careful about any of it, really.
that you're on constantly. I want a lot of people to understand that can do drastic measures. I was born a biological male, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. I have testosterone going throughout my system without hormones, okay, right? So I was born a biological male and I grow facial hair. I have a, you know, I have a high-pitched voice, but for others, you know, they don't have a high-pitched voice or whatever, right? What I'm basically trying to say, when you're transitioning as a trans man, your voice gets deeper. You start to have facial hair. You know, you start to, you know, more of per se, like you start to look like a guy. And a lot of people don't understand that you can't just sit over here and reverse the, you know, the things that happen with your life. Like there's clips like these that we see constantly of these trans men sitting over here saying that they regret their transition because of this.
Out of my haircut because my hair was driving me nuts. And I shaved it because I'm tired of watching.
Oh, Casey Miller, I think the name is. Or I actually called him a she, but like it's, I don't know. I say what I see is that's the difficulty. So I'm always gonna, there's always gonna be someone that I misgender or isn't happy. But yeah, this is like sad. And I watch videos of like Hassan and other people taking the piss out of like this person because they detransitioned and their hair's like fucked. And it's like, I don't know. I think they deserve a bit of empathy, but sure.
Watching my hair thin out, and it's less distressing if I shave it. So when I talk about being too far gone, I don't really know what else to call it. This is what I mean. This is how deep my voice is. It's gotten deeper.
Yeah, the cracking eggs thing, like the whole egg cracking thing is exactly how we get a reputation for being groomers. It's like we do all the most groomery shit ever and then complain that people call us groomers and say it's transphobic. It's like, look at yourself, even like a little bit, you know?
Over time, and it's settled. This is what I mean by hair loss, and it just keeps getting worse. It keeps thinning. It keeps receding backwards. You know, and I'm not exactly sure that's coming back. Those are the main things when I talk about being androgenized to a point of no return.
It's reversible. To be fair, I think mostly they were saying that about puberty blockers, and they're not the worst things in terms of like the kind of chemicals you're going on. Like they don't have as profound effects in a lot of ways, but they're still not fully reversible.
I really don't see those being fixable. So that's when I talk about, you know, just kind of staying how I am, regardless of how I feel. That's why, just because I don't really see me personally being able to come back from what's happened so far.
I recently detransitioned, probably like a month and a half ago. And I've been actively living, detransitioned into a woman for like 2 days now. And just the search looking for information for like videos, because I mean,
Chad knows how it feels. I saw, what was it he put on his other channel? And it was all these different like pictures of him like bald and stuff. It was funny. FTMs have a much higher detrans rate. Yeah, I mean, hey, FTMs tend to do it younger on average, and there's more of them, so it makes sense. But it kind of sucks because like, you know, making these decisions as kids, like some of them are, it must be painful, you know, all these changes you've got to your body that you're now going back on, but you'll never properly go back on. You know, it sucks, man.
When I figured just like, oh, well, maybe detransition. I looked it up, and there's YouTube videos out there, and there's a lot of good content, but I couldn't find any of the answers or things that people were talking about for things that I wanted to know. I was never uncomfortable with my gender. I was uncomfortable with, I'd say, my relationships with other people, which
goes back to the other people thing. That is always such a red flag. I'm so
FTM probably met with a harder reality check than MTF. Yeah, probably. I mean, testosterone is what it is. It's powerful. Females tend to get swept up in social contagion more. Yeah.
glad we're seeing that sort of common thread and we can just show you guys so clearly. That is the thing. It can't be about other people.
I have 2 giant scars across my chest that remind me.
Oh, here we go. Chloe Cole. Everyone starts shitting on her and calling her a grifter and stuff.
Every day that I was butchered by the institutions that we all thought we could trust. I went to my surgeon because I was desperate for answers, and he just told me, it's fine. That's completely normal. Just put Vaseline over it, which didn't make sense to me, but I thought that because nothing else was working, I might as well try it. That gave me a skin infection. It hasn't healed at all, and the wound, whatever it is actually spreading across my chest. I have no clue.
I have a few detransitioner friends who will never be able to look female again, no matter what they do. Jesus. Yeah, it sucks, man. Instantly responded hearing Blair's voice. Lol.
What's going on. I have nowhere to turn because I no longer have any trust in Kaiser Permanente, and I can't afford treatment out of pocket. I wish.
Yeah, I try and suspend judgment on people like Chloe Cole. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about her. I don't just wanna like jump in with other people calling someone a grifter. You know what I mean? And I don't wanna like fuck. It's difficult to like square. It's difficult to like thread the needle between, you know, being cynical enough and being open-minded enough. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's tough. But hey, I don't know. I try and suspend judgment.
I could have my brain back. But a reconstruction may be riddled with even more complications, and no matter what, I will never be able to breastfeed my future children.
I'm 18 years old, and I am a woman who has detransitioned. I am actively suing Kaiser Permanente, and I'm suing the
Layla Jane. I thought this was someone else for a sec, but I don't know. Jesus, there's too many of them. There's far too many of them.
doctors that
Once you detransition, you get excommunicated from the community. Yep, of course. Yep. You leave any cult, they don't want anything to do with you anymore. Sometimes these kind of people find that also like the doctors, the surgeons and stuff, they don't give a fuck anymore. I think that was a big part of that Yarden Silvera's story, who was someone that died, you know. It's horrible how they treat. Yeah, I agree. Fully agree.
gave me those treatments.
Like, people are dragged into this the same way someone like me is. And like some of them, it's not right for. Should we not feel bad for them?
Related to my transition.
I think you're one of the youngest detransitioners other than myself that I know of, and you actually started transitioning a year earlier than I did, and 2 years before I got my vasectomy. You were 12 when you started testosterone blockers, right?
Yeah.
Blockers?
Initially,
Yeah, so 12. I think I remember this footage now I think about it.
yeah, they started me on Lupron, and then they put me on testosterone.
You got your mastectomy at 13, just a few years after you started puberty. And that makes me upset personally. How
Whether or not she's a grifter, she's going to be a political footballer and she's 20. Media, regardless of political orientation, will use her. That seems to be a problem. I mean, she's putting herself out there. I think it's kind of implicit that you can handle that if you're going to put yourself out there. I mean, I don't know. People might do the same thing to me. It's just kind of a risk you take. I would guess that she feels like putting her truth out and stuff is more important than whatever discomfort or difficulty that causes, if that makes sense.
do you feel about that? What's it like dealing with that?
It's very conflicting. But honestly, I'm very upset that it was done to me so young, and also not to mention in a headspace where I just shouldn't have been able to make those kind of decisions. You know, I actually had never seen like a diagram of like the organ and like the lactation like organs, like the glands and all that, until really recently I saw a diagram, They never showed anything like that to me, and they really watered it down and just called it top surgery, not a radical.
Not a double mastectomy.
Double mastectomy, what it was, right?
Or simplifying, infantilizing the language. Not good. Don't do that. Oh, thank you, YP. Hope you're good. I think detransitioners who call themselves non-binary to appear to the queer community are actual grifters. Hey, maybe. Do you mean like people like Luxander and stuff like that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. The word grifter gets thrown around a lot.
Flabbergasted. First off, Lupron. Ain't that the drug? We're gonna look this up real quick. Ain't that the drug?
Yeah, like the idea that they'd water it down, like, you know, obviously we've got hey, I mean, listen, if any detransition people want to use my platform to talk about their experiences, of course you can. I can't remember what I was saying. Let's just keep going.
They give standards.
Yeah, like the watering down of the language and like almost babying it in a way. It's creepy in a way. When everyone has their truth, I suppose it doesn't matter what age you speak it. Isn't part of the narrative that's so young. Well, yeah, I mean, one of them was on puberty blockers from 12. I mean, part of the thing is, when you decide to transition and you lock yourself into that, that's probably before any of the process happens. So these kids are making decisions as like young kids. And that's like, I feel like that's how we get fucking crazy amounts of detransitioners. But for some reason, people don't listen to people like me. So it's kind of, I don't know.
Lupron, also known as lupulide acetate, has been used as chemical castration treatment for sex offenders. Y'all giving offender drugs to children who are 12.
Hey y'all, it's Alazaiah. So while I'm editing this video, I did not know that was a thing. That was, oh my god, y'all, I did not know that was, oh my god. I'm speechless. Like, I'm so speechless right now. I'm gonna do a unpopular opinions video and I'm gonna go deeper onto that because, girl, oh my god, now I'm gonna have to actually say something.
Chemotherapy medicine, that's crazy. Like, one of the puberty blockers, wasn't it used for like prostate cancer or something?
But girl, this is why I say you need to do research before you just sit over here and do something that can change your whole life. Like,
yeah, do research. The thing is, like, do kids think about that kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like, it sucks. Let's see what she says though. Maybe I'm jumping in.
Change your whole life and the trajectory of your life. I'm not saying hormones are bad. You don't need to be taking hormones and all this other stuff. Do what makes you happy. If you feel like medically transitioning is what's going to make you happy, do it because you want to do it. Don't.
No, what I'm saying is, the call is 20, and you're saying she assumes some responsibility to speak, gives too much power to the magic line of 18. Were you fully responsible at 20? I mean, I wasn't, but there's no point in comparing me to most people. I don't know. I think someone like that, she seems to believe very strongly in what she's doing. So I guess she's willing to take the risks. I'm not sure.
Do it because, you know, Miss Alazaiah on them or Nikita Dragon
The blocker you're on is used for prostate cancer. Okay, fair enough.
on them, or you see your bestie on them. Girl, do it because you want to do it. And then also, I'm telling y'all, you will never be able to sit over here and reach the top of the mountain. Yo, the experiences that I be experiencing, ooh, you ain't gonna get them experiences. I'm sorry, you just gonna be a pillow princess, girl. That's why I be feeling bad for some of y'all. Y'all don't get to experience life. I say this a lot, like, a lot of people really need to sit over here and find themselves. This is why I say a lot of people really need to go on self-healing journeys and self-love journeys, because
If you think about it, we're gonna work around what she's saying. It kind of sounds like maybe we need like therapies to like talk to people and get a handle on some of their issues before we start transitioning them. That's very cast review.
because you don't know who you are. Like, a lot of people are trying to, like I keep saying, oh my god, I don't want to get ignorant and, you know, very rude when I say this, but a lot of people are seeking out validation from others. Why don't you love yourself? I say this a lot.
I mean, loving yourself is difficult. It's not easy. You don't just love yourself. There was a long time in my life where that kind of that kind of advice, sorry, would like drive me insane, because I don't know what the fuck people mean when they say like that, when they say stuff like that. But like, it is true, you shouldn't be this easily influenced by others. But I mean, like, when we're talking about like teenage girls like, as well, that's easier said than done.
A lot of people really need to go to therapy. I'm the type of person where I'm my own therapist, but if I do need to go to therapy, I will go do that, like if it gets to that point. But I've become very mature and open when it comes to...
This person might become transphobic after looking more into this, because they seem sincere. Yeah, maybe, yeah. They're willing, listen, whatever else happens, they're willing to like platform some of this stuff. They've got 4.33k subscribers. It's not bad, depending how long they've been going, but hey. So that's at least something, right? These butchers will often ghost their parents when shit goes wrong. That Irish sow Gallagher has mutilated hundreds. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was that Yard and Silvera. Like, that was a part of his story, was the fact that the surgeons didn't give a fuck, like, when stuff started going wrong. And that sucks, you know.
Taking my time.
So, Carlo, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It's a bit optimistic to tell teen girls to just stop being so impressionable. And like, this might be sound advice, but does it entirely work for like people of that age? But hey, let's see.
In my transition and not rushing to go do drastic measures to please other people. Like, I say this a lot, like a lot of trans women who, you know, attack me and attack my transition, say that I look like a man, I need to dress like a woman, I need to present as a woman. They're coming from my looks.
Trans women say that? Jesus Christ. Why does that not surprise me, actually? Like, I don't know. I don't think she looks like a man.
And stuff like that. A lot of people don't understand that I'm black. Okay, number one, I'm black. Number two, I'm broke. So, you know, you trying to sit over and put me on this high pedestal? Oh, girl, I'm broke. I'm a broke trans woman. Number three, let me sit over here and tell you something. I live in a state where, you know, it being trans is very much illegal now. Okay. So let's get into the fourth and last and final thing that I'm gonna keep saying. I'm black, I'm trans, and I'm beautiful. I don't have to prove anything to any and everybody. Okay. I already know who I am. I'm alazaiah. I keep saying it. I'm black, I'm trans, and I'm beautiful. You had to repeat to yourself who you...
It's a little bit Jeffrey Marsh, but I guess, you know, the self-confidence is good.
You are. You have to repeat to yourself that you know who you are and you need to stand in who you are.
Wake it up. Wake it up.
Some people just need help. Some people need a hug. Like, some people really need to just get hugs, and somebody needs to tell them that they love them, because a lot of people are trying to seek out validation from others. I want to keep saying this.
Yeah, I thought they might have said trans is illegal in my state. I didn't know about that. Like, this person's kinda... They sound like they're maybe somewhere towards getting there, you know what I mean? I don't like to just shit on people. Especially if it sounds like they have potential, you know what I mean? Like, there's the potential there that they might kinda get a bit more of this into their heads, you know? I'm not sure. I'll think more. This isn't like the worst thing I've ever seen. There's definitely stuff I disagree with, though. Yeah, like, what state is it illegal to be trans? I don't know about that. I mean, you're still under Biden, so.
Like, I'm not an accessory. I'm not just some glamorized, you know, bada bing, bada boom. Like, I'm a human being. I'm a human being with feelings. I tell all my dogs is that you're not ugly. And a lot of people go to drastic measures to try to get enhancements and stuff like that. There's complications with every surgery, and that's something that a lot of trans people in this community do not talk about. But I guess, you know, I'm gonna be the trans person to talk about it. Take time in your transition. You're not ugly, you're just broke. And I want to say that message loud and clear.
Okay, I don't like that very much.
You're not ugly, you're just broke. And a lot of people might be like, what are you talking about? Everybody has the same 24 hours as Beyonce. So what you do with your life, I will constantly say that. What you do with your life, that's on you, okay? You want to sit here and lay in bed and be depressed. You want to sit over here and cry about this. You want to sit over here and do that. Stop living for everybody else, okay, honey? Life is not going to be easy. crazy, okay? Okay. I will say this loud and clear. Like, I know that there's times where I look like a man. I know there's times where I look a mess. I know there's times where it's not giving what it's supposed to be gave, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it and be like, oh my God, Alazaiah, you need to fix this. You need to fix that. Who cares if I look like a man? I'm broke. I'm a broke transsexual. I can't glamorize myself and compare myself to all these trans women who have surgeries.
Like, you can be, listen, first of all, plenty of these trans women have these surgeries and still look like shit anyway. Second of all, like, you'll be surprised what just a few, like, makeup things will do for you. You don't have to, like, get your face cut up straight away. You know what I mean? So I don't like this kind of sentiment very much.
And compare myself to all my peers and be like, why are my friends sitting over here up here and I'm down here? Or why are my friends there and I'm not here? Like, I can't do that. I'm in my own path and I'm in my own trans journey, and I had to realize that very young. And I had to sit over here, and I'm going to add a little 2 cents in. When my mother flipped over and died, it made me really open up on why I need to sit over here and love myself even more, because you only get one life. So if you're constantly trying to chase other people and you're constantly trying to prove to your friends that you're this way, that you're that way, you know who you are. If you're transgender, stand on it. And I feel like every time we hear a detransition story, it always becomes a hot topic in the worst way possibly, because a lot of uneducated people think this speaks volume for the whole community when it doesn't. Like, it makes me so mad, and I hate to sit over here and see that, because detransitioners are human beings, and I'm going to be 100% for real. This is not an attack on detransitioners. If you think I'm going to make a video on attacking detransitioners, no, these are human beings.
Sell you a dream, they just forget to say you need 100k minimum. Yeah, you get these, like, richer, older, usually transsexual, like, MTF transsexuals, and they'll get all this stuff done very quickly, and, like, it all seems very fairy tale, but it's not reality for most people. Like, I've never had anything done, like, on my face and stuff. I can't afford that shit. I probably never will. I don't know if I'd get that kind of thing done if I could. There's a part of me that would want to, but I'm still, you know, I'm at the stage where I don't care that much what I look like. Like, I look kind of male, but I am male, so, you know. What are you supposed to do?
Beings with feelings, and their feelings are valid. They didn't have people to sit over here and, you know, hold their hand and say, sugar, take time to stop trying to force yourself and do this to do that. Just take time to yourself. Learn yourself. You need to learn how to love yourself.
That's okay, Zakala. We're back on more agreeable territory.
You know, move throughout society socially first before you medically transition and medically do all these enhancement things.
Okay, I spoke a bit too soon. Yeah, like, social transition is a lot more powerful than we give it credit for. And it's very easy to say, oh, it's completely, you know, irreversible, blah, 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 blah. That's not necessarily true. You're kind of locking people in, so you need to be very careful. So I wouldn't even go as far as this person is.
Because what if you regret that? And I say this loud and proud. I don't want to cut off my princess wand until I'm 30 or 40 years old. And a lot of people might be like, 30 or 40? Girl, that's old. Girl, let me tell you something. You still got a long time in your life. You still got a while. If you're 30 years old watching this video, girl, I'm telling you, you still got a long time in your life. You still got so much.
What's NAA and MIA? I'm not familiar.
Time to do whatever you want in this world, because you only get one life, okay? So use it wisely. I want to have kids. This is the main reason why I'm really hesitant on getting on hormones, because I know when you get on hormones, you can't just sit over here and, like, reach the top of the mountain. When you reach the top of the mountain, it comes out clear. It doesn't come out like, I don't want my video to get demonetized. So it's like I said, I hear a person out because
some of us can't even fucking get monetized, so don't worry about that, fucking hell. Eventually, I will edit my videos in a way that YouTube is happy with, or I'll stop swearing, or something else, I don't know. Don't call it your princess wand. 30 years old, I'm 34, so I'm very old apparently. I don't think I'm old. Anorexia and bulimia, right.
I might not agree with everything that that person is saying, but you have to try to be an understanding person, because one day you could be in their shoes. You can't judge a book by its cover. You get what I mean? And I might come off as ignorant. I might come off as, hostile. I might come off as ghetto and, ratchet, but I try my hardest to just be an open-minded person. I'm sorry for my stuttering, but it's a very complex topic to talk about a detransitioner, because I'm not a detransitioner. I don't go through what they go through. And I also want to keep saying that, there's times where I see detransitioners and they're always saying that they were trying to please other people, and there's clips like these.
I had no idea even what being transgender was, what a trans person was, until I saw it online and I saw it on TV. And when I was 12, 13 years old, that was when the TLC show wasn't out.
God. Oh, Brianna Ivy was, her surgery got all fucked up, I think. Like, she's happy transitioning, but it was like the surgery got messed up, I think.
But Jazz Jennings was doing
But like, yeah, imagine like your kids like watching like that show and stuff. Like, I don't know.
interviews. I immediately saw myself in her shoes, and then seeing how the discussion of a girl's brain and a boy body at 12 years old, I don't know why it clicked with me. And that was something that I just felt aligned with, especially because...
Yeah, and this is a problem with this fucking metaphorical language we're always saying is totally not what we actually think. Yeah, I've seen her on Buck's, on one of Buck's videos as well. It's really, really quite scary.
Because I was always around girls, I liked...
But yeah, like the way we put these things, like that a child might sort of understand in a certain way or perceive in a certain way. But like, I'm coming more around to the arguments about like the way we say things like bottom surgery and stuff like that, and girl's brain in a boy's body, which is not possible. It's extremely contested that brains are like dimorphic sexually, so...
all the things that the girls were doing.
I mean, hell, I thought I was. When I first realized that I was gay, I was like, oh snap. That means
he's gay? Wow.
I'm supposed to be a girl because girls like guys. Thankfully, I didn't have like crazy liberal parents. And I didn't feel the need to be like, oh my gosh, I'm a girl, but like that.
I watched it as a girl. It was something I thought was reality impossible. They conned all our minds like with abortion language. Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. Like, I think we have to be really careful, even the language we use.
As a reality for some gay men, they kind of get confused. And again, when you're in that age, that awkward age of like 10 to 15, 16, that's when you're really figuring out who you are, the things you like, and you're going through puberty, so many different changes. And that's not the place to be making drastic lifelong decisions. It's just not.
Girls were doing. And so it just kind of made sense the way it was portrayed to me.
Right.
Yeah. And it really convinced me that that was me.
Jazz has had a very difficult
gender souls argument. Yeah, which is funny coming from mostly atheists.
Surgical course. She had a very incredible first surgery. It went seemingly very well, but there were problems.
Oh, isn't this Marcy Bowers herself? Oh my God.
Taking Jazz on as a patient for surgery, we knew it was going to be a one-of-a-kind surgery. She's one of the first to have undergone complete pubertal suppression. I was just not expecting her to have a complication as severe as what she did have.
One of the first, but you didn't expect a complication. I just don't know. Like, is that hitting anyone else weirdly?
The stitches started coming apart. How likely do you think that's going to happen again?
It's always
this young child having to have this conversation. What the fuck am I looking at? You know what I mean?
Possible.
And that's one of the things that kills.
I think he feels the same way, judging by his face.
The most is like, okay, this is the one of kind of surgery. I can't believe we're doing this. We're changing someone's sex like far before puberty. How did you not expect things to happen?
Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. There we go. What's his name? Amir Odom or something? Yeah, we're on the same page. There we go.
Hello? See, I feel like I'm going crazy to think that this is the wrong thing to do, but it's like no one's being hateful here. You're an adult, transition as an adult, but the fact that this little girl...
I did take hormones. I took them for a little over a year, and I actually had my approval letter to get top surgery, and I was working on scheduling that, which is when I decided it wasn't what I wanted anymore. And it was a really scary time. I was scared.
Well, good for you. Imagine if you would have gone through. I remember like a while ago, there was a picture of someone on Twitter that went viral. It was like a young girl who like moved her breast. I think she was like 14 or 15. It was a picture of her posing with her surgeon. And I remember there are people saying like, this is a mistake. Like, I feel bad for her. And then all the trans activists in the replies were saying, what do you mean? She can always get breast implants. It's like,
listen, anecdotal, big if true, but that's like gross to say. And that's the same shit that Joanna Olsen Kennedy was saying. These surgeons are so ideologically captured by their beliefs. Yeah, I mean, most of them are fucking trans. They transition and then they fucking do it to everyone else. It's like, what? It's strange. It's strange. It reminds me of like those degrees people get, that they get the degree and then teach it to other people to get the degree to then teach it to other people. And it's like, okay, this is bullshit, isn't it?
Those aren't breasts. Those are breast implants.
Scared I was going to lose everything. Like my partner who I met identified as a gay man, so I was afraid that if I detransitioned, he wouldn't want to be with me anymore.
Oh my God. I mean, there's so many different like avenues that people feel this pressure to like either start transition or continue with it. At worst, it's intentional child medication. Yeah. Her stitches come apart after a rough birth. Bedridden on oxys for over a month. Imagine a minor teenager. Yeah, it's crazy.
Which wasn't true. He's been my rock during all of that because that was such a hard time. Testosterone's a really powerful hormone.
Testosterone is very powerful, and it's actually much more powerful than estrogen in many ways. And a lot of the effects from it are much more permanent than the effects of estrogen for male to female. People don't know that.
I passed as a man fairly well, and I navigated life as a man fairly well. So having to rediscover navigating life as a female and trying to look feminine again was super difficult. And it's still hard now. When your voice drops from taking testosterone, it doesn't go back. And that's something I really struggle with. I used to love singing, but the way testosterone...
I think I might have seen this one, or either that or I heard someone else. Like, their voice got fucked up. Probably only identified as gay to knob her. Hey, maybe.
affected my voice. I don't like how I sound when I sing anymore.
That sucks.
Socially, it's such a hard thing to do because you already feel like you have to justify being trans to begin with. And then so when you change your mind, it feels like all that justifying you did was just lying or like not being genuine.
That's what I would assume is like a lot of the times we focus on like the permanent bodily changes and physical changes, but we don't talk about like how crazy it must be to socially transition and to get people on board and then to go back. Oh my God.
It's crazy to see those videos because it just proves to the point where I keep saying that you need to have self-love and self-esteem when you transition, because I say this a lot.
Well, hey, how about we stop kids transitioning and give people more time to do these things? I reckon that'd be a great idea, personally. We should consider not transitioning children. How about that?
People are always going to tell you what to do with your life. People are always going to suggest that you should detransition, that you should just be a man, and you should just do this, just do that because you don't pass. Who cares if you don't pass? Who cares if you don't look the most beautiful? I don't care if I look like a man. If it gives man, it gives man. If it gives woman, it gives woman. Whatever it gives, that's what it gave. Like, I'm alazaiah. I know who I am. I was born with a purpose. I was born to sit over here and, prove to myself and to prove to other people, not even to prove to other people, just to live my life for me. I love myself and I love to be myself flamboyantly. I know I feel like that's a privilege to love yourself and to have self-love, because I feel like a lot of people don't know what self-love is. You have to go on a self-love journey.
Trans being Caleb. Who's Caleb?
You have to sometimes take time off of social media, take time away from your friends, to just ghost people and to learn yourself. I'm trying to read books. I'm trying to learn new things. I'm trying to learn new tricks in life because I want to sit over here and experience life for what it is. There's so much out in this world. There's so much out in your city. There's so much out in this country, in this whole globe of the rock, like bada bing, bada boom. There's just so much in this world, and I just really want to do what makes me happy. You should do what makes you happy. You shouldn't be looking for external validation, because I keep saying you shouldn't transition for a guy. You shouldn't transition for a girl. You shouldn't transition because your friends are
okay, fair enough,
telling you to do that. You should do it because that's what makes you happy. And you're going to end up in an unhappy situation because you realize this isn't what I really wanted to do, and now I'm finding that I really didn't want to do that, and now you're looking very
that is incorrect. Testosterone effects are more visibly irreversible, but estrogen has long-term harmful effects on males as well, impact organ, cognitive and immune system function. Fair enough. Listen, that's all stuff I'm gonna have to deal with, I guess. So, hey.
per se dumb. I'm sorry to say it. I'm not sugarcoating it. You're gonna look dumb. And I will continue to say this, like, why don't people sit over here and do research before they sit over here and act on it? Like, you need to sit over here and think before you do it. Like, a lot of people are just doing it.
Yeah, the problem is, again, we're talking about like kids, and you were like showing kids, so you should know this, really.
Based on somebody sitting over here giving them the clear, like, do you really want to do this? Do you really think this is going to fix your gender dysphoria? Do you really think this is going to fix your insecurities? I said this before.
Do you even know that it's gender dysphoria you're dealing with? Or that it doesn't come from something else, that fixing that might fix the problem?
And I will say it again. Go to a real therapist. Not no gender dysphoria therapist. You need to go to a therapist.
Okay, yes. This is good. This is very, very good.
A psychiatric therapist, or however you say them things that be messing with them brains, girl. You need to go to a therapist. Because what if you aren't really trans and you're just very insecure because you don't like that you're sitting over.
I think they're talking in general, but I don't really agree with that point.
You're looking like a butch queen or some stuff like that. Girl, I know I'm throwing out these harmful words, but it's serious that nobody is really like talking about this, because it's like we see detransitioners all the time, the delusional ones that say that God has saved them and God has, helped them and God, showed them the path to detransition. You can't suppress who you are. You can't suppress that you're gay. You can't suppress who you are. If you're a homosexual, you better own it to be a homosexual. Own it. If you're a transsexual, own it being a transsexual. You can't suppress who you are. But if you feel like you personally don't feel this way, then sit over here and take time before you sit over here and get into it based off of peer pressure. That's the problem with some of these guys, and that's the problem with some of this community, girl. Let me get out of here, girl. You should transition only if you're uncomfortable with your...
Yeah, Kitty Cat, exactly. Like, she's not always saying stuff that I'm clicking with, but some of her points are actually very good.
Gender, and not because of your appearance. Like, you should really take time to understand yourself. This is why there's therapists that ask, so when did you feel like this, when did you feel like that? I feel like they should go deeper into those questions, like actually talk about your childhood trauma, because I feel like childhood trauma really plays a part into your transition. And I'm gonna make a whole video on this separately, but I feel like childhood trauma really plays a part in your transition, because for me as a trans woman, I would go seek male validation, and I would go give myself out to these men, go give out my body to these men, because I didn't get the love that I wanted at home, and I would try to sit over here and get pleased by another man when I really just needed to love myself. And I'm always chasing a high. I'm always chasing to be loved and seeked out by a man when I could just do that by myself. Like, if I really want to go to Pound Town, I can, go to Pound Town with my beautiful, plastic princess wand in my cabinet. Like, if it's that serious, it's girl, what?
She just appears to be just a little bit ghetto to me.
You gotta love yourself in this world, and I will always say that. You can't just sit over and hop label to label and do this and do that, and
I'll say one thing, maybe this could have done with more editing, so we're not getting kind of repeated points, if that makes sense.
Try to find yourself, because I say this now, you need to take time, breathe, breathe in, breathe out, live life, breathe there, and one day you're gonna get there. I just want people to sit over here and not get on the internet and
Everything is personal, continue. I don't know how long they've been trans, to be honest.
See all these other trans people telling you how to live your life and do that. Do what makes you happy. Don't listen to other people. And this is the problem with all these detransitioners. Now, they were listening to other people. Your story and your journey is valid. I understand where you're coming from. But it gets to a certain point where now us as trans people are, kind of side-eyeing you, because it's like, why didn't you transition for you? You were transitioning.
Plenty of those trans people side-eyeing that other person probably also didn't transition for them. Let's be real.
To please other people. You can't just sit over here and say that you weren't, because you were. And I'm not trying to come off as ignorant. I don't mean to come off as ignorant, but that's just the way that I see it. You were never trans to begin with, because
I disagree with this. This doesn't make sense. You can't just retroactively change your mind as a person changes their mind. I don't think that works at all. You can't be as long as this person is actively transitioning and stuff like that, then they're trans. And then as soon as they stop transitioning, suddenly they were never trans. You've gone back on yourself there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense to me.
Because if you were truly trans, you wouldn't have detransitioned. You would have kept fighting through. There's times where I looked like a man. Literally the past week, not really uploading. The past week I've gotten on camera with my unpopular opinions video. I would look back and I'll be like, oh girl, kind of look like a bush queen. Like, you kind of look a little dusty, but it's okay, girl. Like, I keep saying, I'm broke.
No one's an arbiter of who's trans and who's not. Yeah, that's true.
I'm a broke transsexual, so if it gives man, it gives man.
But to me, it makes no sense to like retroactively change your mind because the other person did. And okay, you've always been a man instead of you've always been a woman. Then like, it just doesn't work that way. It's a very odd thing to do.
Like, if I look like a man, I look like a man. When I go out into this world and I look ugly, there's times where I'm going to get clocked. There's going to be times where people are going to look at me like, ooh, girl, like, you look a mess. But it's not the end of the world. You just got to keep living. You just got to keep pushing. There's no point in sitting over here crying and, you know, sitting over here complaining and talking about, why don't I look beautiful?
Listen, you'll get to a point where you'll stop caring and you'll be happier. You'll probably be able to accept your male sex. This person seems at least decently accepting of their male sex, which is good. But yeah, it doesn't have to be all this like shallow stuff, you know. It doesn't have to be all about looks. And I 100% understand why people get that way. But it's good to it's good to try and work your way out of that as soon as you can, because endlessly trying to feminize your looks more and more and more is probably just going to drive you crazy.
Beautiful. Why don't I look like this? Why don't I look like that? Why am I this? Why am I that? Just live life. Just keep pushing and just keep doing what makes you happy. I'm going to keep doing what makes me happy because I'm already secure enough in my transition. I'm already secure enough in my identity. So when somebody asks me what is a woman, I already let them know I don't know what a
Happiness is fleeting, not some perpetual state to be obtained. Yeah, and you don't know where happiness is going to come from, you know.
woman is because I'm a trans woman. I stand in my trans.
Tiger Reid was trans for more than a decade, I believe, and recently detransitioned. Does that mean she wasn't truly a trans woman? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you can't just like change your mind like that because the other person did. That seems dishonest to me.
Transition, I will always constantly preach that you know who you are, so why do you need to please other people? Why do you need to explain yourself to other people? I'm black and I'm trans and I'm beautiful, and I will always stand on that. I love being my beautiful black trans self. Look at me, like, I'm beautiful and I'm black. I got black features, like, I just look black and I look like a black trans person. Like, sometimes I do love looking trans because it's like, girl, you already know who I am. Like, being trans is just so monumental and it's just so beautiful. And if I ever do become famous, I'm gonna.
Okay, I think I get the measure. Yeah. Listen, I pretty heavily disagree with some things she said. There's some good points in there. At least they seem at least more realistic than what you hear some people saying. I think hearing someone that's not desperate to prove that they're a woman when they were born a male is at least better than most of what I see. And we're not getting the usual, like, politics fucking spiel and all these, like, auxiliary, ancillary, whatever beliefs that have got nothing to do with being trans, yet so many fucking trans people have. You know? Trans is beautiful. Like, I don't have too much of a problem with it because it's kind of implying you're accepting yourself as trans. You're not actually a woman or something like that. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I don't go for like catchphrases and stuff myself.